I'm not as active on Twitter as I've been.
I'm using the Twitter app as normal.
It's fine.
Proved that women's pockets are too small to fit iPhones.
Before they can be let out in public. I made it do a thing where I could text Jeremy my ETA, it'll be home in 7 minutes.
So if you have a WhatsApp group and you're out there, invite me to it.
Have couch well traveled.
Coming up September 12th, most likely, Jeff. iOS announcement.
That person has some anger issues.
Allison, that doesn't surprise me. You have a tough enough time paying attention on this podcast.
Excuse me? The money we generate off this podcast, we can't afford to pay attention. Carry on.
Have I been throttled?
And a 3.
Yeah, everybody's smiling, right?
And a 2.
Of course.
And a 1. Welcome back to yet another exciting, action-packed, informative, That Blind Tech Show. I'm here with the usual gang. How you doing tonight, Allison?
I am doing okay. It is Allison the Nutrisystem edition, so I'm hungry, but I'm here.
Welcome to the club.
Thank
to
you.
the club. Now, if we can only get Nutrisystem to make that app accessible, now that we know there are 2 blind people using it.
Yeah, or if we get them to sponsor the podcast, that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a food for thought. Ooh,
yeah.
Can we say that on a diet? But
check. Is this thing on? Check. Hey, Brian.
Yes.
We did look it up. You can say food for thought while you're on a diet.
Cool.
Carry on.
3, 2, 1. Back from Hippie Mountain. Thankfully, he was not eaten by a bear, which was a big concern of mine. Mr. Jeff Thompson, how you doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing great, Brian. How you doing, Allison?
I'm doing all right. How you doing there, man? Peace and love.
Yeah, the mountain was really great. But it's really good to be back. I was there. I was gone too long.
Yeah. It's a very tranquil place, though, Napa.
Yeah, it is.
No Wi-Fi, huh? Limited Wi-Fi.
Hey, you're supposed to be there enjoying the company and all that stuff, so it was pretty good. So I'm back, and I got lots of it here.
Lots of it. Lots of deer? Deer are here.
Wi-Fi connectivity.
Wi-Fi. Oh, Wi-Fi. Yes, I can't live without my Wi-Fi. I think it was LL Cool J had the song, I can't live without my radio. Well, I can't live without my Wi-Fi. I will not sing, though, because I was asked not to. Allison, D-Day came and went August 16th. Twitterific. It still works, but not in the way we were used to. How are you dealing in a post-Twitterific push notification real-time streaming world?
So it's fine. I mean, really, I'm noticing very few changes. I have the official Twitter app installed so that I can get my notifications. I'm using Twitterific very similarly to how I always did. I'm getting away from direct messages on Twitter, mainly because they're a little bit unreliable in sending and receiving now, apparently, depending on which client you're using. So I am reachable by text if you have my number. I'm using it about the same. I'm not as active on Twitter as I've been, but that's just because I've been super busy. It's fine.
I myself, I'm still using Twitterific on the Mac the way I use it for getting messages out, and I usually don't go on there to receive them, so I'm using the Twitter app as normal, but I still have Twitterific on my front page. So, it's not much different the way I'm using it, but I can understand like people who DM, but there's so many other options out there. I just kind of segued over to WhatsApp and some other things.
Yeah, there's WhatsApp and text, and there's just lots of other ways to communicate.
Man, there's even making a phone call the old school way. You got to turn that rotary dial, make that sound. And
operator.
That's right. It's also a phone.
I hate people that have that old school phone ring as their ringtone, by the way.
Oh, then before Tom Petty died, I had that, and now I have Free Fallin' as my ringtone.
Hey, Tom Petty.
I always like that old school phone when you're on a bus of 60 people and you hear it and everybody
checks. And my thing is I have the ding as my text message, and everybody and their grandmother has that. So I get so confused when I hear it.
Oh, yeah. I went down to Texas where my folks were staying for 17 years during the winter time. Mm-hmm. And I'd go for coffee with all the guys, and there'd be 15 guys there sitting around, and they'd all have the original what the phone came with, ring. So when the one phone would ring and all 17 would pull their phones out. I chuckled.
I didn't know where to go next with this. I thought he was going to say Texas, that everybody would grab their sidearm when the phone rang. But me, I do it the smart way. I thought of ringtone wise, what would be the least likely thing for anybody on the planet to have, and I have the original Beverly Hills 90210 theme song as my ringtone.
Oh my God, do you really?
Oh, I do. So if I'm hanging out with Luke Perry or Jason Priestley, they might have that ringtone. But as long as I'm not anywhere near anybody from the original.
Do you know them?
I've met them. I was on an episode, so
cool.
I don't know them personally. I was just background and everything.
Allison, doesn't that show go back where we had the old school ringtone?
Yeah. It goes back before cell phones.
Yeah. That was back when we had the brick cell phones and everything. That all it did was make a call, and you would press it, and it had that analog dial press and everything. So. You only used it in case of emergency, which in LA used to get carjacked a lot. So, I had it in case I ever got carjacked. But I guess if they carjacked you, your phone would be in the car, so it wouldn't be of much use. So we weren't really thinking back then. This next story has to be the story of the year. And I want to ask it in a way, the Thai gentleman who punched a Apple employee in the face because his facial ID wasn't working. Allison, how mad would you have to be to punch an Apple employee in the face?
Well, it depends on how hungry I am. Like right now, I could punch you in the face, but no, seriously, that person has some anger issues. They need to work some stuff out before they can be let out in public.
What about yourself, Jeff? How angry or what voiceover issue would set you off to punch an Apple employee in the face?
Well, I'm just so glad they mistaken me for a Thai person because I was out of there. No, I don't know. I have no idea what would enrage a person. To go into the back room and then turn and punch a female? I mean,
female, yeah.
I don't want to be sexist on this, but I don't think I'd punch anybody nowadays.
If I would have gone to the NFB convention, we probably would have had a story that blind podcaster gets punched in the face by NFB.
The entire NFB would punch you in the face
at once, in unison.
Yeah.
If they could find you.
There is the synchronized NFB punching team.
That's true.
Yeah. Is that like the old spanking machines, So,
oh my.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking. I'm talking about grade school. They used to have a paddle. It's that old where they actually paddled you in grade school.
Oh God.
I thought you were talking Animal House style.
No. So, you got to be careful. But yeah, this was unbelievable. Now, Allison, this story I put in the show notes especially for you, that scientists recently proved that women's pockets are too small to fit iPhones. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, I think it's kind of ridiculous that anybody spent money on a study, because all they had to do was flip and ask me or any of my female friends, and we could have told them that.
Yeah, they could have asked my mom or aunt, because they've both had iPhones in their pockets that ended up in the toilets. And I'm like, how is that possible?
Oh, fail.
Jeff, because we're not a sexist podcast, what are your thoughts about men's pockets and iPhones?
They fit.
I think men's pockets are perfect because I always have an extra pocket in case Lori can't put stuff in. Well, she wears clothes without pockets. And I'm like, really?
They make clothes without pockets, Jeff. They make, women's pants. They make these stupid little sewn in pockets that are sewn together, or they make pockets that are so tiny you can't even fit a wallet in it, let alone a phone. It's ridiculous.
So with all my gallantry and stuff, I always offer to carry something like her keys or something. Yeah, it's worked wonders.
Hey, I hate to interrupt, but Jeff, gallantry? Say what?
3, 2, 1. Well, because we all know I am a goal-oriented person, I plan to lose so much weight on the Nutrisystem that I could fit into women jeans. So maybe eventually I'll be having this issue with the pockets being too small.
So are you going to be transitioning to Brianna then from Brian?
Brianna? No transition.
Just wearing the women's jeans.
Wow.
But you'll still identify.
We could have 2 females and one guy on this podcast.
Here's something Jeff's going to have to cut out. Okay, sorry, but I couldn't help myself with that. So 3, 2, 1. Here at That Blind Tech Show, we care about you, the listener.
Yes.
So we are all running the iOS 12 beta on our main phones, so we can
So
run
you
it.
don't have to.
Yes. Allison, what do you like? What do you dislike about the iOS 12 betas?
For me, it's been very similar. I can't really think of specific features. I like the group notifications. That's a feature I really like. Because if there's a whole bunch that I don't want to see from one source, I can just clear them all.
Whoosh, gone. I love that.
I like the improvements to the notification center where you can just clear the whole thing. It's beautiful.
Oh.
The little bit of mucking about I've done with Siri shortcuts has been interesting. I'm going to be interested to see how app developers implement those into their workflows. And I just like that it's been extremely stable. It has not given me any issues with battery. I've not had very many crashes of all. I've had very few problems.
That's great. Yeah, I love the notification center. The one thing I don't like, though, I don't think it's a voiceover specific issue. If you expand a group of notifications and you go through and delete them all, in my opinion, that group should then just disappear, but it's still there if you flick up to the left. And that I don't like. And don't even get me started on Apple Maps, because if you're a voiceover user and you want to expand and look at the step-by-step directions, once you start flicking through it, it just disappears and you can't flick through all the directions.
Yeah, I very rarely use Apple Maps now. I pretty much use Google Maps.
Well, when you have a dumb cab driver here in New York City that thinks he knows how to get to your apartment better than yourself, that's when you have to. I couldn't run. There's so many different streets, I couldn't remember the name of them all.
Jeez. Yeah.
Jeff, you're running the iOS beta. What do you like? What do you dislike?
I like everything Allison said about it. That's exactly what I like about it. I went into the Siri thing, and it seems like it's been tracking what you've been doing, so it's loading it up. It's kind of like tendencies that you would do, but it's just kind of interesting that it's doing that. And I really like, as Allison says, when I used to hate having to go down every day, get rid of that day's notifications, get rid of that day. Because if I didn't do it for 7 days, I'd have to go through all 7. And now just one big whoosh, gone.
One thing that does bother me, they still can't put them in the time order they come in, because you'll flick through, then you'll get to some that came through sooner. And it's the same thing with Facebook. It's Facebook, and they just can't give you stuff in chronological order. That's the only thing that does bother me. I don't know if you've noticed that, but it is easier to get through. And you know me, I get 6.7 billion notifications.
Yeah. I mean, the average user gets what Allison and I probably do, whereas you with your 6.7 billion, you might run into a few problems.
Yeah. So it does get a little cluttered. Now, Allison, you said you've played around with Siri shortcuts a little. What have you liked so far with it? I have not played around with Siri shortcuts yet. I've read a lot about it, and I plan to eventually put together some combo S-Lady requests.
I made it do a thing where I could text Jeremy my ETA, I'll be home in 7 minutes.
Now, do you have to be in a loving relationship to create that shortcut?
Not necessarily, although I think it always helps. But it's if you want to text anybody your ETA from where you are.
And there are more than one Jeremy out there in the world, Brian.
So you can find one too. And if you want to be in a loving relationship with him, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
Well, Jeremy's spoken. We all know that. So homage and everything. But I don't see any reason, unless something disastrous happens, and you never know, it could. But when this drops, and years ago, us in the blind community, we were slow to install new iOS software. With 12, it's been so stable. I don't foresee any reason not to install it.
It's working great.
Yeah, so it may come out before we record the next episode. Who knows? Coming up September 12th, most likely, Jeff, iOS announcement. I know this is all speculation. This is the part of the speculation for the show. Have you read about any new hardware? Are you going to be getting any new Apple hardware, according to the rumors?
My credit card is freed up right now, so the tendencies for me to do it it's wide open.
Do it, Jeff. Do it.
So I've been thinking about, actually goes back to what Allison just got, but I've been thinking about the Air. Is it an Air 13-inch or is it going to be a new...
An iBook. We don't know. We don't know. But there is a rumor that some 13-inch. In fact, you and I are both looking at that model.
And I'm running the 7 right now, the iPhone 7. So this is coming up on 2 years. So I'm in that zone, but my 7's working really good. So I don't feel the need for it. Other than those two, I know they were talking, rumor has it, about a new watch. I don't know.
Which watch are you running? Are you on the 3 or the 2?
2.
Okay, so yeah, I'm on the 3, so there's no plans for a watch. Allison, I know you have an iPhone 10, and what do you have, an 8 or an 8 Plus?
No, I just have a 10. Jeremy has a 7 Plus still, though, so I may give him my 10 and upgrade.
Okay.
Do you know if they come out with the XS Plus? Say that once.
XF Plus.
XS Plus. It just sounds like too much, doesn't it?
It sounds like a really bad large pant size. And I used to be in that size, but thankfully I am no longer an XS Plus.
This podcast is brought to you by Nutrisystem.
Yeah, that 13-inch, whatever that comes out, as long as it doesn't, I refuse to buy any, I have a 2012 Mac Air, which is the best computer I've ever had. And I just unfortunately had to upgrade it to High Sierra because I needed to install Xcode and for something we'll discuss in a little bit. And I hate High Sierra. I mean, I'm not even sure if the 2012 will be able to upgrade to Mojave, but there's, speculation about all that and everything. So yeah, this 13-inch might be in my neighborhood as long as it doesn't have that touch bar. I need my F1 to F12 keys.
People have even been talking about the Mac Mini. Rumor has it.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
More expensive Mac Mini. It's not going to be a cheap version. This 13-inch is supposedly going to be under $1,000. Of course, by the time Jeff and I get done with all the fancy bells and whistles, I'm sure we'll be over $1,000 with.
Oh yeah.
With the upgrades and everything. But they're supposedly getting ready to announce 3 new iPhones. And I think they're all going to be bigger than the 8, which I don't really care for. I like the 8 Plus, that size. I don't know if I'd like anything bigger, though. That's just, yeah, and I'll be careful here, Jeff. I don't think I'd like anything bigger in my hand than the 8 Plus.
Well, I'm used to all different sizes, so...
Well, yeah, I mean, we've all been around. I have an iPad myself.
Yeah. That's very big. No, but I've actually gotten used to the 10, but if they come out with the 10 Plus, I'll probably get that. The OtterBox case I have on this 10 makes it feel kind of like a Plus anyway, so it's not so bad. If I can handle it, anybody can.
Well, I think too, if you do have the 10 and you want to go to the 10 Plus, the retail on the 10 is going to be good right now too. I think Apple stores have a great exchange program too. So if you want to upgrade and all that.
Yeah, and never buy an iPhone in August. Always wait until the new one comes out because the 8 Pluses and 7s will drop in price once the new ones start coming out and everything. So if your financial situation's tough, keep an eye out for some of these older devices, which are fantastic and will be running the next 3 to 5 operating systems, because getting anything 7 and above, depending on your financial situation, is realistic. Now, Allison, how has life without a home button been for you? Because I don't like it.
I don't miss it, honestly. I can't honestly tell you if I can open my phone or go to the home screen or do anything faster without it than I can with it, but it doesn't matter because I can do it fast enough. I don't mind.
Swipe up gesture, because I don't have a 10. I've only done it with training clients.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just don't have enough experience doing it. But when you want to close an app and get back to your screen, what gesture?
You just do the swipe up with one finger.
Okay, that's why it's just with one finger. And what about facial ID? Does that work pretty well for you?
It works pretty well. I have to do it with luckily, if you turn it on with voiceover enabled, it turns off attention mode. My eyes are not such that I can use attention mode, so it makes it just a tad less secure. It does work consistently with attention mode turned off.
Allison, that doesn't surprise me. You have a tough enough time paying attention on this podcast.
That's true. What?
Excuse me? The money we generate off this podcast, we can't afford to pay attention. Carry on.
3, 2, 1.
Do you use a power pad?
I do not. I've been waiting for the AirPower, Apple's wireless charging solution.
That's supposed to be
2 years.
A while, yeah.
Yeah, 2 years. And I have 2 charging pads that I bought. They're supposed to be fast charging. They're definitely not fast charging.
1 year, isn't it?
No, maybe it was 1 year.
1 year because of the 10.
It's
And
just felt like 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Apple years count twice as long as regular years.
It's like dog years.
2 Apple years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just like the speed of you disposing of your phone because it doesn't work anymore. That's kind of changed a little bit. I think they've extended it. And then for the people that want to get like the 7 or the 8, those are going to be good phones, like you said, Brian. 3, 4, 5 more updates. I really,
at least.
I don't think I'll get rid of my 7.
Much better than Android's doing. So
Much
1
better.
or 2, yeah. So, and this next story was just absolutely horrific because they're battling just the worst fire in the history of California. And
Yep, it's pretty awful.
if you ever thought your provider throttling you because you watch too much Netflix was bad, Verizon throttled one of the California fire departments because they were using too much data while battling fires, Allison.
I know. And when they called, they were like, well, you could upgrade to this plan, instead of being like, oh my gosh, we completely understand. And, we will lift the cap so that you can do your job. No, this was some idiot reading their little script, not being able to think for themselves. Oh, it was awful.
Yeah. And if you think Verizon customer service is bad, try SiriusXM. I had to tell a SiriusXM customer service employee 4 times, I don't own a car. Okay. Yeah. Well, what's the VIN number? Yeah. Jeff, have you ever felt your data's being throttled?
Have I been throttled? What's really interesting is I have unlimited, but if you read the small braille, after I go over 25 gigabytes, they'll throttle it down. I will receive a lower speed. And as I'll talk about later, I'm going to England. I'm getting a data package. It says unlimited, but after I use 500 megabytes, then I will be throttled down to a lower speed. And that's what throttling is all about. They'll just regulate the speed of the internet you'll be receiving.
Yeah, that's awful. That's awful. I've never really experienced it because I never leave the apartment and I'm always on Wi-Fi. So you have to leave the apartment and be on that. And I just don't use public Wi-Fi anymore. As we discussed the last show, I just feel dirty when I'm using public Wi-Fi. So those are issues. Yeah, those are issues I have to work through. Allison's probably going to tune out for this next segment. But Jeff, I've got 2 questions for you. Question 1, are you ready for some football?
Sure, Brian. Touch
football. I did read somewhere they were starting a blind football league. I have no idea how that's going to work. It just sounds like a comedy of errors and everything.
There's blind hockey. There's blind all sorts of sports,
Question 2, Jeff. How many billions does the NFL have to make before they could actually make their app fully accessible to voiceover users?
I pass. I don't know. How many?
I don't know. I was looking for an answer because I just checked out the latest update to the NFL's app and it's got so many voiceover issues. It's ridiculous. I don't know why they can't take a page from MLB at Bat that's done a fantastic job making their app fully accessible. The NFL and ESPN app is completely inaccessible. I mean, you click on an article and an article doesn't open. But I don't want to be sexist because that's a bad thing. Allison, do you feel left out? Are you ready for some football?
I guess I'll pay attention for maybe 1 quarter and then either fall asleep or go do something else.
Yeah, well, you are a Steelers fan, aren't you?
I am, yeah. But even then, I pay attention for about 1 quarter, and then I either fall asleep or I go do something else.
Jeff, for years, I've been using a great app called Pro Football Radio, which was $1.99, and I was able to get pretty much almost any radio feed of any home or away broadcast and everything. But it finally looks like the NFL caught up to them, and that app is now sleeps with the fishes and everything. And we got very lucky, though, because a listener reached out to us by the name of Andy Baracco. And I believe Andy is in the Blind Abilities Fantasy Football League. And he brought to our attention a new app called Game Day, which he's already used, says works great with voiceover. And it's $1.99. And he's been able to get a lot of the preseason radio feeds. Jeff, do you use any kind of apps to listen to NFL game feeds?
As soon as you mentioned it, Brian, I bought it because I haven't had a radio thing for the NFL at all. And I thought this was great, $1.99 as opposed to the $100. And yeah, so I downloaded it and then you told me, boom, it was gone, from the App Store. So I rechecked and so I filed a complaint saying that, hey, this app is now gone, it's not working, and I want my money back. So they refunded me my $2.13. That's $1.99 plus tax, I believe. So thanks for letting me know it was gone because I would have been thinking I was going to be able to use it some more. So maybe I still can because it's still in my phone.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is something just with streaming radio in general, which drives me bonkers, is it's anywhere between 1 to 4 minutes behind real time.
Oh,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's really frustrating because when you've got friends like I do that text you, can you believe that just happened? You're like, well, wait, it hasn't happened here on my radio. And then you're getting notifications about a touchdown that just happened. And you're like, what? It hasn't happened here and everything. I decided to go the rich boy way, even though I'm not a rich boy. I went for the Sirius XM package because I'm hoping it'll be in real time. I'm now a Sirius XM subscriber. Now, the only unfortunate thing, you can't just sign up for Sirius XM because I thought I got it for $30 for 6 months, and that ends up you don't get the NFL and MLB games. You do have to sign up, and they have to send you, if you complain enough, they'll send you a free Sirius XM radio, and you have to get that. That way you could get the all access package, and with that all access package, you could then listen to it on your A-Lady, your iPhone, or your Sonos speakers, which I'll be discussing soon. Jeff, are you ready for the Blind Abilities fantasy football draft this Tuesday night?
Yeah, I am. I'm all ready for it. I went through the mock draft. It was really cool. It works.
Yeah, if you've ever wanted to play fantasy football and you thought it wasn't accessible to you, Yahoo Fantasy has done a tremendous job with its accessibility, making everything from the draft to the day-to-day management. I've been doing work with them along with some other great people in the blindness community. They're very committed to accessibility. It's just great that they're doing what the NFL and ESPN should be doing. Really have to give a shout out to the whole accessibility team and development team at Yahoo Accessibility. I just found out that Yahoo is finishing up, Allison, building a whole new assistive technology lab here in New York City.
Ooh, very interesting.
I got an invite to go late September.
Is that Yahoo or Oath?
Oath, pardon me, Oath. Yes, I should call them by the right name. They're now Oath, which is the combination, I guess, of Verizon and Yahoo and everything. And the team that I dealt with, a team out west, and they've just been tremendous. And I'm very appreciative to everything they've done. Allison, you're probably the youngest one on the team here. So I'm curious, when you went to school, did they teach you any computer coding or programming?
No, they did not teach me programming.
Okay.
We were behind the times.
Well, we didn't even have computers in high school. So what about yourself there? Well, Jeff, you actually have a little bit of experience in coding and programming, don't you?
Yeah, my abacus actually took batteries. I did basic, Q basic, and I went up and we started C+ in college. That was back in the day, but...
Yeah, I just finished a 10-day, actually, I believe it's an 8-day course. We don't count the weekend days, Brian. And I was in class for 10 days, and Jeff and Allison like to say, well, Brian, why don't you call me sometime when you have no class? We're including this in the show notes, and a special shout out to the grad student at NYU, Claire, and Scott. He's I believe a professor at NYU who put this program together, and they're allowing us to include it in the show notes. Now, what this is, if you've ever been interested in learning to build a website, they do a very good job there. They come from a web design programming background, but they also have a knowledge of screen reader technology and how it works. So they just designed an accessible web design course, and it's about a 14-week course they teach that we did in 8 days, although it was scaled down, obviously. It's an introduction, and they have a great way of spelling things out with activities you can do and everything. It's introduction to HTML, CSS, as well as JavaScript. They just did a bang-up job putting this thing together. And the great thing, I asked Allison, I said when we finished, I said, well, since you are an NYU professor and you teach us over 14 weeks and we did it in 8 days, does that mean we can now tell people we graduated from NYU? And I don't even have $80,000 that I owe. So Allison, have you ever been interested in web design or not really?
I've dabbled in learning a little bit of HTML here and there, but I've never stuck with it. I am interested. Like everything, I would like to develop for iOS. I would like to learn HTML. I'd like to do a lot of things, but this stupid thing called work just keeps getting in my way.
Yeah. That's the advantage of doing the work that I do and everything. I get to set my own schedule. Although I did fire myself one week because I didn't feel like I did enough work. But like I said, if you've ever had an interest, and there's a lot of great links here to external sources as well, web accessibility and different codes, web code you could use to make your site fully accessible. I'm a little disappointed because I thought the Laugh for Sight website was fully accessible, and I went through and did some tests, and we'll have it fixed pretty quickly. But there were some accessibility issues. And it was interesting to learn why sites aren't accessible. And if you go through this course, you'll have a better understanding of why certain things aren't working and everything. So definitely check it out. We'll have this link to syllabus in the show notes. And if you have any follow-up questions, hey, maybe we'll put a group together. You can always reach out to us. We're still on Twitter at Blind Tech Show, or most likely you'll probably want to email us. And the email is thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. Obviously, we all use podcast players because I at least like to hear myself talk. Allison, have you noticed the explosion of new podcast players coming to the App Store?
No, because I've either used Overcast or Downcast. Right now I'm using Downcast, and I haven't really paid attention to any of the other ones.
How about yourself there, Jeff? What about in iOS 12, Jeff? Have you played around with the Apple Podcast Player?
Yeah, I like it. The podcast that I listen at regular speed because it's content like that. And I can see why people speed stuff up when they're just listening to like fantasy football like you would do, where you just want to digest quickly some information and find something interesting. But yeah, they're coming a long ways. Like now, if you go to the title of the show and flick up, you can go into all the details and there's different options. So it's growing. It's being that I put up podcasts, the Libsyn requires you to put in Apple information, but they weren't doing that. Like you don't know that episode 431 went out, but in the details you see it. But I don't know, some people like to put stuff in the notes. So I have little issues with Apple and their podcast app, but that's my go-to one. And I do divide up other ones, and I'm on the Downcast because I think Overcast, it's there, and it's good, but I do like Downcast better than Overcast.
Yeah,
I got started listening to podcasts on the iPhone with Downcast, and I used to speed things up, and I was using Overcast for that. But now I've gone back to regular speed for books and podcasts. So
slowing it down a little, slowing it down. Take it down a notch.
Overcast has such an engine for doing that. They should sell that to the other companies.
They should. Yeah.
They take out gaps. They speed it up. It still sounds good. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a longtime Downcast user. And thankfully, on my last show, we kept blasting them because they went like a year and a half or 2 years without an update, but they've at least been getting it updated, and it's a guy's personal project. So it's not like it's a big company producing it.
Yeah.
I've dabbled with Overcast, which I'm not. For some reason, I just don't like Overcast.
It's not the same. It's just not, it's not as good.
No.
Podcatcher is another one that's tremendous. Accessible, tons of different. And for those of you new to this, the difference between these is a lot of them have different options. The reason I don't seem to use the Apple native podcast player is it doesn't allow you to do groups. And I haven't spent enough time with it on the beta to see if that's something new. But at first glance, I didn't see anything that allowed you to do, because I like to put all my Blind Tech shows in one, my baseball shows in another, and I just go through and I listen to what I want. There's also a bunch of new ones: Castbox, Breaker, Podyssey. We'll put links to them in the show notes. All seem very accessible. Podyssey is one that you could share stuff and see what your friends are listening to. I guess that's some of the features that these new ones have and everything. But yeah, there just seems to be an explosion. And it's so funny. As all these are coming out on iOS, I saw that Google finally got a patent to make a podcast player. I was like, wow, talk about
behind the times. But
yeah. But I think if someone's interested in podcasts and you got the native app, give it a shot, download some podcasts, see if you're really going to listen to them. And then once you get into it, it's like if you're in a book club, pretty soon you're going to realize, hey, I got a lot of this stuff. I need more organization. Then look into the other ones. As Brian says, with Downcast, he can create folders and groups and stuff like that. So if you just want to give it a shot, try the native one. It's free. It's there already.
Yeah. And a lot of these other ones are free, and you can unlock more features if you pay for them. Actually, all the new ones I think I've downloaded for free, and I've played around with them. But I always seem to just go back to that old reliable Downcast.
Yep. Never fails.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a little slow, I've noticed sometimes with streaming. If you download everything works perfectly.
I download everything.
Oh, you download.
Which is really nice, because once you're on the airplane and you open it up and you realize you have nothing to listen to, it's nice to have downloaded ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm subscribed to over 100 podcasts, including this one. By the way, if you search for That Blind Tech Show in your Victor Reader stream, you will get an error message, at least for the next, until we get our own feed up. So you have to look up Blind Abilities, not Blind Abilities Podcast Empire or BAPE. Right now, it's just Blind Abilities.
2 words.
Because Two words, but you can find us there. Now, Allison, I know you have a love-hate relationship with Facebook. Would you ever get a Facebook voice-controlled speaker?
Not if it was the only way of communicating with the outside world. No, never. Ever in a million years.
So you don't ever plan on saying aloha, because that's the name of Facebook. They're working on it, voice controlled. I think this is kind of cool. If it's less than $100, I'd probably get one. What about yourself, Jeff?
It's just interesting because I read the article, and as I was going through it, they said that they didn't want to put it out right at the same times when they were having all the trouble with the Russian or the invasion of privacy. Yeah, it was just kind of funny. We better not put it out right now.
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool to say, aloha, read me my news feed in chronological order. Of course, I'd have to speed up how fast it's reading and everything. Or
will it actually read in chronological order, though?
That'd be just so cool to say, aloha, like that, or aloha, send a response. Supposedly it's going to work with sending messages. Like I said, if it's $50 or they come out with a cheap one, I think this would be kind of cool. So I'm going to have to move because I don't have enough outlets in my 1912 apartment and everything. Allison, since you're not going to get it, I'm going to rely on you. Once this hits the market, it's called aloha. So what are we going to call it? Because we can't call it the A-Lady.
Oh, man. We'll call it Hawaii.
No.
What about Ha Lady?
No.
Ha Lady. Ha Lady.
Jeff, you got an idea?
We'll go with Hot Lady.
Ha Lady.
We got to start thinking about it because we're going to have to coin a new phrase when this one hits the market.
Hot Lady.
Ha Lady.
I like this. There's a lot going on in the voice control field, which for us has to be a great thing, right, Allison?
I agree.
The Face Lady.
The Face Lady, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, the Face Lady.
You heard it here first. That Blind Tech Show. One of the things that I really like about it is at least a group like Facebook is working on putting dollars in, putting people in there, hopefully more people than they put in their accessibility team. But, they'll come out with a product that's going to compete with the other ones. Just like the autonomous vehicles out there, we hear Apple, we hear Google, we hear this stuff. I've never seen an autonomous vehicle myself, but you think that it's working. So them doing that is, you think something's coming down the pipeline, and I don't know when, but it's kind of neat.
Yeah. Now, our 12-year-old and younger listeners, just pause for a sec.
Brian, remember Section 3 of the contract. Carry on.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. PG-13 listeners. Allison, I could no longer say I've a woman more recently than a PC because I have a new PC.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
I don't know if that's a good thing, Jeff. But
Not that one, Brian.
Yeah, I got what's called an Acer Spin 5.
An Acer Spin 5.
Acer
Spin 5.
Spin 5.
5.
Now, what this is a 2-in-1 laptop. So it's a laptop with a full keyboard, and then it completely flips over and it turns into a tablet and everything.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it also has the A-Lady built into it. So,
oh my gosh.
Right now, I'm just learning Windows Narrator. I had to put this on the backside because I had the course for 10 days, but I'm going to get back into, using Narrator. And I'm pretty happy with Narrator so far. I plan to learn Narrator as well as NVDA.
Nice.
Thing. Pretty happy with it. I'm really impressed with Narrator and what they've done. The toughest thing for me, being somebody that's lived on the Mac side, I hadn't used the PC since Windows XP. It's really not learning Narrator, but understanding the whole layout and design of how a Microsoft computer is set up nowadays. I did download, which I plan to start reading tomorrow, Windows 10 for Dummies. So I think they wrote that specifically for me. But Allison, you love Windows 10. In fact, you have a new Surface Book. What are you loving about it?
I just love how nicely it runs. I love the battery life. I love absolutely everything about it. I am really, really happy with the Surface Book 2. I've got the 13-inch. I've got it maxed out to capacity with all the different bells and whistles. It's got a wonderful keyboard. I haven't really even detached it that much to use it in tablet mode, but you can. And it's super cool.
Yeah.
So you got 16 gigabytes RAM.
1 terabyte SSD, the i7 processor. Yep.
Oh, yeah. I was looking at the 15 because I thought the keyboard would be better. And no matter how you go about it, the ching just goes right up there. And it's like, wow.
Yeah, I'm happy with the keyboard on the 13. I would recommend that for a total.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and I'm really sorry. 12-year-old listeners, you could start listening again. So
Yeah. Well, the thing is, everyone complains about the price of Macs, because they just released, the newer ones, and everyone's saying, wow, look at you can ching this up to a big price real quick. Well, Microsoft producing their own machinery, and you really like it. I mean, hey, it's all expensive stuff.
It is. Although you can get a lot more laptop for a lot less money. Like Jeremy has one that has 64 gigabytes of RAM and also an i7 processor and a 2 terabyte SSD. And I think he paid like $2,400 for that, which is less than I paid for my Surface Book 2.
64 gigabytes RAM.
Yeah.
Jeff, I used to say that's a whole lot of woman. Now I say that's a whole lot of laptop.
Wow.
Jeff, now you're sitting over there just with you got a new device too. We don't want to leave you out, but it's just a boring old iPad, man. How you liking that new iPad?
Actually, I like it because I use it for different things. It has the keyboard. I got the Filio Slim keyboard on it. It's a case, and it works really good for when you're going to sit down, do some emails or makes notes. When I was on the plane flying back and forth from Napa to here, it was really nice because I opened up notes and I just started typing away, except for when the person in front of me decided to relax and kind of closed my
switched your iPad. Yeah.
But it worked pretty good. It was small enough that I didn't need the screen. It just stayed
Jeff,
open.
Remember, size doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, but this one is pretty good. And I was always bumming about the real estate, but when you use an iPad with a keyboard, it's just like a computer in a sense. And I'm just getting more and more used to it. It's here, and I keep it plugged in and ready to go.
Those listeners that are old enough to remember, there used to be a great ad campaign where they would say, tastes great, less filling. Tastes great, less filling. I feel like this next story that Allison and I could do that because Sonos and Allison, Apple HomePod. Sonos.
Apple HomePod.
Sonos.
Apple HomePod.
Neither answer's wrong, neither answer's right, but I guess it's personal preference. It tastes great, less filling. But Allison, why do you like the HomePod better than the Sonos line?
I like the HomePod because it is a better sound overall. I've got a pair of HomePods now. I like the touchscreen interface on the top of the HomePods better. I like that they have voiceover. I do not like the little touch surfaces on the tops of the Sonos. I find that my cleaning people were always muting the A-Lady when they went to clean. So I have switched from the Sonos to an Echo Dot with some Bose computer speakers. But I use my HomePods for all of my music playing through Apple Music unless Apple Music doesn't have something that I need.
Well, I just became a Sonos One owner, and I'm a big fan. I love the AirPlay. It's so simple. I've been AirPlaying Netflix to it, and now I can just tell it to play with the A-Lady built in. Allison's going to want to vomit because I think the big A-Lady sounds fantastic. I know you don't like the sound of that, you audiophile.
Allison, can you explain to the listeners and to me a little bit about the AirPlay 2?
What AirPlay 2, the main difference between AirPlay 2 and AirPlay 1 is that with AirPlay 2, you can AirPlay to multiple speakers at once. So AirPlay 2 is what allows my two Apple HomePods to communicate with each other in a stereo pair. That's through a variant of AirPlay 2. And I can play stuff on my phone and take phone calls with AirPlay 2. It's got more robust multi-room support is a big deal of AirPlay 2 as well.
Oh, great.
And it's easier for other speakers to add it now apparently as well, which is why Sonos has it now.
So you migrated right into the HomePods. You love them.
I love them.
Love them.
I love them. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, none of this stuff is cheap because the one Sonos One, you have to look because I don't think the Play One has the A-Lady or the
It does not.
AirPlay, but the Sonos one does, and that's for one of them it's $199. And what's the HomePod? Is that $349? The Apple HomePod?
$349, yeah, for one.
Yeah, for one. So none of this stuff is cheap, and they sound great, and I've only had it for a few days now. I'm really enjoying it, and I might be getting two more. Who knows? But Jeff, they're making accessories for everything nowadays. Elego, and who the heck knows if I'm pronouncing that correctly, they have come out with an accessory for the AirPods. Why don't you tell the listeners about this?
It's a device that hooks to your watch. If you have an Apple Watch, you can then store them on there, kind of like a holster. I remember as a kid, we used to have these holsters where you put the bullets in, like 1, 2, 3, 4. But I guess you can put them in there and they say they don't fall out. So I'm iffy about this. Like, I like keeping them in my case, so they're charged.
I like keeping them in my man-sized pockets.
Yeah.
In the case so they can charge, I would think.
In the man-sized pockets, yeah.
Yes.
And there was another link we'll put in here, this leather pouch that somebody made because, sighted people. Yeah, this is a complaint sighted people have with the AirPods. My case scratches too easily.
Oh.
The charge case. And I'm like, really? That's a concern. But yeah, so anyways, a leather pouch that will snap to any backpack. These things are just too expensive to snap them to a backpack, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, this thing is $14, the thing that hooks to your watch. But I don't know if I want an artillery type of device strapped around my wrist, pretty soon it's like...
Just hanging there and everything. And,
yeah.
I would think when I'm lifting my beer, it would keep hitting me in the face.
Yeah. Or they might fall out into your beer and then your AirPods wouldn't work.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had the one time where they fell out in the cab and I never saw those again and everything.
Yeah.
I like putting them into the case and the case in my pocket and I'm good. I'm good to go.
Man-sized pockets, though. Would they fit in women-sized pockets? Do you have AirPods, Allison?
I do not. I'm waiting for the next generation to come out.
If it's anything like the fast-charging Apple Pad, you might be waiting for a while. That might be 4 Apple years before that. Yeah, they make accessories for everything nowadays.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
So, Allison, last episode, we spoke about VPNs. And even though you had some great suggestions, I really wanted a VPN. And hopefully anybody at Netflix is not listening to this because I really wanted a VPN where I could just appear in any country and play different Netflix content. And I found one, ExpressVPN, a couple of unlabeled buttons. The first VPN, Viper, I tried. Completely inaccessible with voiceover. If you're looking to jump around and be anywhere, take a look at ExpressVPN. It works fantastic. And let's just say I've been in England a lot lately. Where, Jeff, you're going to be pretty soon.
Goodness.
Yes, I will be. I'll be going to England. That's going to be a good time. And thinking about going there, I got a plan with my Verizon company and they have a deal where I can get unlimited data and I can use it over there for a package deal. So I did that because I don't want to go over there and start weighing myself in and with the different SIM cards that you can do and all that. But they're used to that over there because, got so many countries, like going to Wisconsin from Minnesota or something. You're in another country over there. So they swap out SIM cards like nothing. They see no problem with that. But I just don't want to deal with that part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how long will you be in England for?
Oh, until I get back. We're going there. It's the same
philosophical of you.
It's the same trip that we do each time. We got some friends over there that we'll be down in the Devon, Timoth area. I get to go to an English football game. We're going to a castle. It's called Powderham. It's castle down by Bristol, and then we'll be going up to Birmingham, and that's up
Alabama?
by Warwick. No.
A good Birmingham.
Way up north. That's in the Midlands. So this is a trip that we've done twice before, so we're doing it again just because great people, great times, and we just enjoy it.
And we don't have to worry about you defecting to Tech Talk, do we?
That's right.
They're over the pond.
Yeah.
They're over the pond.
I did put some feelers out there. I might meet up with a few people. I mean, back in the Audio Boom days, that's where Audio Boom originated. And then they gave me a channel for America over here. And I made so many friends back then. So that's how this all started. And, it's just kind of neat.
I just got an email. It was either Audio Boom or some other service like that. They said, you haven't been on here in 5 years. We're going to remove your account. And I was like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, they changed the platform. And that's why we started Blind Abilities when we did, because we were the Blind Abilities channel, but it was like putting your foundation on sand because they were switching, reiterating the whole process. Now they're more of a radio show type podcast company.
It used to be so cool.
It was.
We should start a Blind Abilities public WhatsApp group. You ever thought about that?
That would be a little like I can barely keep up with the WhatsApp groups I'm in.
I know.
I'm in one WhatsApp group and I've never looked at it. I was just making a suggestion.
I love the WhatsApp groups where there's like 2 or 3, 4 or 5 people maybe, and they all respect each other's time. I was on this one the other day and I said, oh, there's 2. I'm going to keep up with this because I hate falling behind. The first one was 2 minutes. The next one is 24 minutes long.
Oh my God.
I swiped up and said red.
Oh, I'd like to thank the two of you for killing my dream. I'm trying to get out there and meet more people. So I was trying to come up with a WhatsApp group. And so if you have a WhatsApp group and you're out there, invite me to it.
Have couch will travel.
But ever since I took this class and I actually interacted with other people,
But you go to the bar all the time. You don't meet people at the bar? Like,
those are sighted people. You know, I don't like sighted people.
oh, that's right. Even though you used to be one.
Yes, I didn't like myself. So that.
Oh, I see.
Allison, what do you have coming up?
Let's see. I might be going to a training in Monterey. I don't know quite if that's happening. Work is still insane. It's going to be insane for a while. So I've got work and house stuff. We're getting our patio redone. We're getting washer and dryer put in. We're getting installation done. So a lot of like homeowner-y, boring stuff, but important stuff.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I fell asleep when you were talking there.
Oh, wow.
As an apartment renter.
As I remember, did you get the General Electric with the box for accessibility?
Well, yes, but we had to sell that because the area where we have to put the washer and dryer can only accommodate a stackable washer and dryer. So, and those are big side by side, those GEs.
And hopefully they'll come up with a better product name than General Electric, the box. That reminds me of Silicon Valley. The guys, the box, that's their product and everything. Box. Great show. But well, that's awesome. Hopefully, good luck with that. Good luck with your Nutrisystem and everything. We hope.
Thank you. It's rough right now, but I know it'll get better.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
What do you got coming up?
I told you I'm just going to sit by my phone with it in my hand, hoping I get a WhatsApp group invitation.
That's it?
Yeah. I've got 10 fantasy football league drafts coming up, college and pro, every night for the next 10 nights. That's why we're doing this now, to get that out of the way. I'm ready for some football. I'm looking forward. I think tomorrow that Sirius XM receiver will be here. I just had to pay shipping and handling. And once I got that, then I'll be able to get the all access package, which will give me loads of great content for me to sit on the couch and play. I've just got too many options of things to do. But no, I'm getting back into some training and spending time with that Windows PC because I now am learning narrator. I'm just looking to improve Brian to Brian 2.0.
Brian 2.0.
Yeah.
That's
well,
great.
Brian, last time you gave a demo on your microwave, your General Electric microwave, and it got a lot of responses back on that. Is that still going good for you?
It is. I have noticed every now and then I say, "Hey, lady, microwave 2 minutes," and it'll say meditation, and then I go into a series of about 17 curse words I call the "A lady."
That's not meditating, Brian. That's not meditating.
It's the complete opposite.
That's not going to help balance you out.
No. As I've said, my neighbors have called the cops saying that I'm verbally abusive. I think my A-lady hashtagged me too. Yeah. So I'm in a little trouble here, man. I get myself into all this trouble, but I get myself out, and we get past this Labor Day holiday. That's when I can really start focusing on this year's Laugh for Sight, which will be here in New York City at Gotham Comedy Club on November 12th, which we'll discuss more as we get closer and everything. So a lot going on here. I realize I said Brian 2.0, but aren't most people up to 4.0 version? So I'm still a little behind.
Hey, that's okay. Everybody matures in their own time.
Maturity, I just hit 10. Anyway, we are thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. On the Twitter @blindtechshow. We are part of the Blind Abilities 2 Words podcast empire, also known as BAPE in very small circles. And for now, we are out.